This is AEW Unrestricted. I'm Aubrey Edwards.
Tony Schiavone here. Hey, everybody.
Hey, this is pretty great. I'm excited. We're in Jacksonville. We've been doing a couple podcasts, but this one in particular, I'm really pumped about.
Yeah, because we got a couple of guys to our right to are not only a great tag team, but a couple of real good guys to be able to talk to.
Yeah.
Very interesting stories. Butcher and the Blade are with us.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. This was a nice intro, Tony.
Well,
that was great. Yeah. Every time I get to hear Tony Schiavone's voice, it's a pleasure.
Isn't it wild? And it's like, we just work with Tony Schiavone.
I always said, when AEW, the debut episode, and it started and you heard his voice, that was
so wild.
Very nostalgic.
So wild.
Yeah, wild.
It was a big deal, Tony.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Don't blow his ego up too much, though.
He deserves it.
Yeah,
He doesn't deserve shit.
When all the guys that are your age die off.
Yeah.
Who's that old fat fuck over on the left? And I'll say JR.
All right, so we've got...
This is exactly how I want this to go.
So great. Don't tell JR. So we got Butcher and the Blade. We got Andy and Jesse.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and how long have you guys been tagging together?
It's been like
I'm terrible.
It's been almost 3 years. Like
Sure,
close to
something
3
more?
years. I think it's like maybe just over 3 years.
I guess like officially tagging, yeah.
We won in our first tag match. We won a world championship. I can't believe he forgets that.
In PWR in Erie, Pennsylvania.
We won a
tag
world
team gold.
championship.
Wow.
Yeah,
First
On your
goal,
first
yeah.
run?
First debut match.
Transitional
It's insane
champions
it is
or like
to remember
actual
that.
champions?
Transitional champions for
And then
sure.
I had to go on tour, so they took the title away.
That's what we desperate for next show.
Oh my god.
Never got to defend it.
So Jesse, I know you've been wrestling really long time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read through your list of titles
Here
here
we
because
go.
it's really impressive.
Oh boy.
Two-time Heartland Wrestling Association heavyweight champion. One-time Heartland Wrestling Association cruiserweight champion.
The heavyweight champion one's not true.
Oh.
That was the cruiserweight champion.
Well, yeah, I got cruiserweight. Well, let's say if I say
Oh,
it,
you know what? Yeah, that's how bad my brain is. Yeah, that
right,
is true.
right, it is true.
That's how long I've been
Even
wrestling.
if it's not, let's like fucking
Yeah,
add it to
yeah,
Wikipedia.
sorry, I
That's
cut
great.
myself
It'll
out.
be true. Heartland Wrestling Association Tag Team Champion, CZW World Tag Team Champion, ESW Tag Team Champion, National Wrestling Alliance Empire Heavyweight Champion, NWA National Heavyweight Champion, NWA New York Heavyweight Champion, and the Squared Circle Wrestling Premier Champion.
Nice.
And then together, you guys have the Pro Wrestling Rampage Tag Team Champion.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's a world.
Yeah.
World title
title.
renowned.
World. They didn't put world here. So it's apparently not the world, it's just
was awesome.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it was a
It's
big deal.
only
to us.
recognized in
Big deal to
Pennsylvania.
us.
So I remember he told me, he's like, oh yeah, we're winning the titles tonight. And I was like, I think I have tour in like a month. So I don't know when we're gonna defend that one. So they just took it away from us.
Transitional
right away.
champion.
That's
Oh my
great.
god. So you guys signed with AEW
Mm-hmm.
after you had like fucking cut a hole in the floor
Yeah.
of the ring and come through, and I'm like, who's this scary motherfucker?
Yeah.
It was so good.
They're like, I mean, I said this to him, I said this to a lot of people, like, you hear a lot of things. I mean, I've heard a lot of things in wrestling that never came to fruition, you know what I mean? Especially a lot of jobs and stuff like that. And when they told us that, like, oh yeah, we're gonna have you guys come in, you're gonna cut a hole through the ring. I told him, I was like, hey dude, don't get too excited because that's probably not gonna happen. Like,
You have no idea what to expect.
yeah, I was like, there's no way it's going to be that cool. And then it happened. And
Yeah.
that's what I tell people at AEW all the time. I was like, this is a big wrestling company where they actually, most of the things, everything I've heard them say actually happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're
To a
not
lot
on
of-
your chain.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
It's wild. Man.
So who contacted you about coming into AEW? How did
Cody.
that all begin? Cody did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, and then when we first started, we were just doing the per appearance thing for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
so
talking
that-
to Allie a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was like, it was kind of like, then like the next, hey, we're going to bring you back next week, and then we'll bring you back next week. And
And then you were supposed to go to Hawaii with your wife, weren't you?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to Hawaii, like in the middle of it. There was like, December was like,
you did a lot of weird.
I think it was like November and December was like the craziest my life has ever been. Like, and it was like, I never stopped traveling. I think I flew something.
I remember
like-
one time you brought your guitars with you because you had to go to tour from
Yeah.
Miami.
Like Germany, right?
Yeah. No, Australia. I go to like
Yeah, fuck.
Australia. So I went
I
to
think
like,
it was from Miami.
yeah. No, Miami, but that was the
That was
one
the
that
DEP thing.
I went to Europe after that.
Okay.
But it was just like the craziest thing. It was just like, well, I do this. And then it's like, well, I got a week and a half that I can go do the UK tour, come back. I missed one show, and then like AEW brought us back. And it was like the craziest thing. But like after Bash at the Beach, like him and I were just kind of like, well, they really didn't tell us what we have. I'm going to go to Europe and hopefully
Fingers
they
crossed.
keep bringing us back.
That was, we kind of, when we were just doing the per appearance stuff, and then we knew like we were doing Bash of the Beach with DDP, we kind of thought we were like, oh, maybe that's it. Like,
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
once you wrestle with DDP, it's like, okay, well.
Yeah, DDP in his last match, it was that night they offered us full-time contracts, like at the
That's
restaurant
awesome.
and stuff. Yeah, it was.
So it was like, for me, like to go to like the dudes, like I missed my first Every Time I Die show in 22 years. Like that was the first time I'd ever missed a show, and it was Paris, France. It was like a big city, and like had to tell the guys like,
I forgot about that.
hey, do you guys mind playing as a 4-piece that night so I can like do this match? And they were like, yeah, totally. Like the band has been so cool with all this, so it's pretty insane to have like 2 full-time jobs kind of like this.
Right.
Yeah.
And like that's the only like I guess blessing out of like COVID for me is the fact that like the band had to chill out and I could just concentrate on wrestling for a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's insane that like kind of worked out for the worst fact. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it was the worst sacrifice ever for the globe, but for me, it was like, oh, cool, I can just go be a wrestler and concentrate on one thing for once in my life.
Right. I think we need to get into that for people who don't know it, and most people do know about your band.
Yeah.
And talk about, I mean, it's been your life, right?
Yeah, like I straight up, I trained to be a wrestler when I was like 19.
Okay.
18, 19 years old, and then tore my ACL. And like while I tore my ACL, I was off, and I was like, I'm gonna start a band. And literally, that's literally what happened. And then like at 36, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start taking bumps again. And I didn't have any aspirations to wrestle. Like I didn't want to wrestle a match. I didn't want to like compete. I just wanted to like be there for him, or like my friends in Buffalo, like, oh, I'll help you guys like be better wrestlers by being your bump guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then he was like, yo, you should start wrestling. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't really think he had much more aspirations than like doing some shows in some bingo halls and in front of a couple hundred people. You know what I mean? But like especially when we started tagging, I knew that like we could definitely do more as long as he wanted to. You know what I mean? With everything else he has going on.
Right. And your band, I mean, we're not talking about a band that plays at weddings, things like that. We're talking about a serious rock and roll band.
Yeah.
I would say I feel like people think he's in like a local Led Zeppelin cover band or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
No,
He's
it's
flying
like
to friggin' Australia
he's been
and
a
Europe
full-time
and
musician
touring
the
like-
world for.
And it's like, you know, on that side, like it's just, I think that I've just always been about art. You know what I mean? In general, like creating art, and like have realized that like wrestling is just, it's like writing a song anyway. So like, even though I'm doing the band and writing songs on band, like when you wrestle, you're technically writing a song and you're playing that song. It's just a physical song.
Got it.
Like a visual.
I
You know
never
what I
really
mean?
thought of it that way. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So like for me, like this is all artistic, and it's something that's like, I don't know, like I got offered to be someone I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like it's insane that we've all gotten the chance to like live another life. And like a lot of people, some people will just be like, oh, I'll just be a guy.
You're right.
And I was like, I'm not gonna just be a guy. And when we started doing the tag team, it was just like, hey, can we like do some like weird artsy stuff with this? And he was like, absolutely.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I would say Butcher and Blade was his creation pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw Mandy with Nicolas Cage in theaters, and then that kind of like expanded our brains even more as far as like gimmick stuff. You know what I mean?
And that was like one of the big like epiphany moments. Like I wanted to like try to like toe the line of like being a musician and a wrestler, and I've realized that like it's never gonna get looked seriously if I look like a musician. No one's gonna like look at me if I'm wearing like a cutoff shirt and jeans,
Right.
the way I look like on stage, and then I come off and I wrestle, because like I'm only gonna get pigeonholed as like the musician guy that like can do this. And a lot of times like I was getting bookings and like people just thought I wasn't training. They thought I was just a guy that wanted like to do a spot on a show.
Yeah.
So like I would get there and
they always want you to do choke slams.
Oh,
like, it was
dude.
like the
And
same thing every time.
like the first like 20 times I wrestled, like I'd get to a town with him and like the promoter would be like, I got this great idea. And it was always like, my top heel's gonna go in there. He's gonna like he's gonna call you out for being a fraud, and then you're gonna like slap him in the face, or he's gonna slap you in the face,
and every promoter promotes this as like the greatest idea.
Yeah, and I'm just like, all right, man, I'll do it again, sure, you know.
I'm trying, like we did it here, and then on Indies, I was trying to be careful with it too. Like I really wanted to get over the characters of like we're the Butcher and the Blade. Like, he's not Andy Williams, the guitarist. For Every Time I Die. I'm not Pepper Parks, the 20-year journeyman. Like, you know, we're these different characters now. You know what I mean? Like, eventually that stuff will come out, but initially I wanted to get those characters over first.
Yeah, but it was him. He like literally told me like one day, he's like, if you want to be treated like a pro wrestler, look like a pro wrestler.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, get tights and wrestling boots.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking of looking like a wrestler, I heard that you fried yourself in a tanning bed for your debut.
No, that was me.
He did.
It was you.
Yeah,
it was you.
So my girlfriend is a pro bodybuilder, so like she
I just assumed it was you because your tan is fine.
No, I got that base.
No.
He had no base.
I had nothing. So like I was like, I go, oh man. I tell Hannah, I'm like, oh man, I gotta go tanning. I gotta go tan, right? I'm gonna be on TV. I gotta be tan. So I go to a tanning bed. I know nothing about tanning beds, and I'm like, I had tanned prior to in this tanning bed at this like really cheap shot tanning place by my house. That like you lay in a bed and it's like their powerful bed, but their powerful bed is not powerful at all. And you're realizing that you're sitting in there for like 12 minutes and like you're like I'm pale. You know what I mean? Like I'm pink. I like have the same skin as like a pig. And like I went in a new one. That place went out of business, of course. And then I went into a new place. Went in for 10 minutes.
When it went out of business that night.
Yeah. And I went in a place. I was like, I did 10 minutes, and like at 8 minutes, my skin was burning so bad that I had to peace out. Like I got out of the thing, and like I got home, and Hannah's like,
she was like mad.
Oh my god! I'm not kidding you. Like there's. You know, Hannah we never get in arguments, but like this time, I'd never seen her mad like that. And she was like, oh my God, Jesse's gonna be so mad. What did you do? Oh, we got 6 days.
About you.
She's like, we got 6 days. We gotta even this out. Like, what did you do? I'm like, 8 minutes in this bed. She's like, oh God, oh God.
Did you have the white armpits?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, that's the first thing I asked.
Everything you're not supposed to have.
You're supposed to raise your arms like after.
And I had them up. I'm just I'm literally the stiffest human being on earth. Like every muscle in my body is stiff. So like I must have been like this, like in there, not all the way up, just like in pain because my shoulders got.
But not the.
Oh, dude.
I have a good picture. I think it's from Hellraiser 2. Where it's the guy, he's got like all of his skin is ripped off, so he's just like red. Yeah. And then behind on the wall it says "Hell be I'm in hell," and we like superimpose his head on top of the body.
Yeah, because we had our own podcast for a while. We did for like 2 years.
Oh yeah.
And it was fun as hell. And Tony, we actually went, like we had like a bit that we'd do every month, and we would like randomly do it. So every Wednesday we would drop our podcast, and randomly every month we would pick one Nitro from 1996.
Oh, wow.
And we would watch the show and then review it, and then tell the fans like, hey, watch the show.
Right.
And like the interesting things that happened on Nitro, because you never knew. And when I watched them as a kid, like you're watching that stuff like in bewilderment because you're like such a fan of pro wrestling, and then like when you watch it as an adult, you're just like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
What's going on?
Trust me, I know.
It's like a fever dream sometimes.
Yeah, I know, because when I tell my wife Lois that I'm going to watch an old episode of Nitro, she said, well, make sure all the guns are out of the house then, because I'm going to kill you.
Because it gets them fired up.
Blow your brains out. Did I say that shit? But 96 wasn't that bad. I mean,
96 was great.
96 was great, but you get into 99, 2000.
The later
stuff was like.
But it was just so random. Like the amount of random things that happened on Nitro that wasn't involved in like a major plot line.
Whoa! Just all of a sudden, you know what I mean?
Like here's a match with Len Denton versus Disco Inferno, and you're just like, what? Like what is happening? Or like it's just like the craziest people just showed up. You'd have like La Parka versus like Jim Powers.
Or something.
Like what? How would you ever think that would be a good idea? You know what I mean? Like there's no way Jim Powers could do lucha stuff. You know what I mean? Like
And honestly, every time I heard the name Disco Inferno, I would always think, how can we think this is a good idea? Any fucking thing about this guy. Wow. We are talking with Butcher and the Blade, Andy and Jesse, and we're having a great time. And we also want to talk about the early days of tagging together. You're listening to AEW Unrestricted.
Are we? Yes.
One thing I'd like to talk about is State Farm Insurance. And I say I like to talk about that because I've been a State Farm customer, a member, if you will, since 1981, since the year that I was married. State Farm has surprisingly great rates on both auto and homeowners.
Tony, you've been a member of State Farm since before I was born.
There you go.
That means that they must have like great customer service. They've got agents available everywhere. Like, to be a member of a company for that long, you have to be really, really happy with their policies.
I'm happy with their policies, and now I'm happier, Aubrey, with their easy-to-use technology, because back then, you'd have to have the insurance card in your wallet. It was a paper insurance card or like a cardboard insurance card. Now, you have it on your phone. They have a great app, and you have your insurance card right on your smartphone. So the technology that is advanced in the world has also advanced insurance, thanks to our people at State Farm.
So you can manage your coverage, pay your bill, file a claim, all just from your phone. Some you already carry around with you. Who needs cardboard cards anymore? Jeez.
No boy. A great price with even greater service. So Aubrey, as I always say, when you want the real deal,
like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. You say that all the time, Tony.
I do.
AEW Unrestricted, we're talking with Butcher and Blade. Andy and Jesse are with us, and guys, it's great to be talking with you. It's great to have you in AEW.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It really is. I want to go back to your debut in AEW.
Yeah.
Okay. How long were you guys under the ring?
Oh, that
Not
was.
long.
You weren't under the ring that long?
Of course.
Terrified.
I mean, I'm an overthinker, and I was terrified for 2 months leading up to it.
Right.
Like you hear like the stories from like Nitro of like, I won't name names, but it was like, oh yeah, these two guys were under the ring for 2 hours.
Sure.
Peeing in buckets. And
Yeah, right.
Ripping each other and shitting in buckets.
Right,
and I was
right.
like, oh, I thought that's what we were gonna do. You know what I mean?
Crawl into the rain, like, where's my bucket?
Yeah, like I guess this is where I'm at for an hour and a half.
Right.
And I mean, no, it was literally we were under there for not even 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they snuck us out.
They
like,
blacked out the arena. We
'Cause Cody.
snuck in. Yeah.
like Cody's intro.
Cody's
was
entrance
first.
in
Yeah.
dark.
So you snuck him in.
During his entrance.
Right there,
Oh,
right
smart.
side, right side
Smart.
stage.
Yeah, he did like a 2-minute squash. We were under there, and then I mean, like, this is how much over. I'm like, what if I don't, like, during the day? I'm like, why isn't anybody showing me like the blade I'm going to use to cut the thing? Like, what if I don't do it right? And I'm like, what if I climb out, my mask falls off or something? But no, there was someone was under there with us. They did the whole thing, and it was like a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allie, who is your wife, became the bunny.
Yeah.
Which was kind of odd.
Yeah.
Because she had been Allie for so
Yeah,
long,
yeah,
and all of a
yeah.
sudden she comes out with the ears on and everything.
Yeah.
So you cut off her hair, give her some ears, going out with these guys.
Exactly. And talk about being with her and working with your wife. And
Yeah, like that was the first time all three of us had worked together.
Okay.
When me and her initially, we knew each other for about 4 years. And then when we initially got together, I was like, hey, like, I don't want to be one of those couples who like, oh, now because we're dating, now you're my valet.
Right.
You know,
Sure.
just for no reason at all, you know what I mean? But then someone I think it was actually the Squared Circle, ended up booking us together, and it went so well that very randomly it was me, Laura, and referee Jimmy Corderas. They put us together as like a little faction. And it went so well, it was just like, oh, we'd actually be kind of stupid if we didn't go with this. You know what I mean? And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then we weren't working together for a while because like she was doing Impact and I went off with him doing Indies, and then AEW put all three of us together. And it's kind of like we just kind of we all know each other so well. We just kind of had like that like natural chemistry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it was kind of cool, like to do like a strangers kind of vibe, like to.
Yeah, that
so
was
it. Was
yeah.
like not doing something that was like completely different. It was just, I don't know. I always thought that like female valets with like tag teams were always like they weren't an equal. And I wanted to make it like an equal, like where she was just as dangerous as we were,
Right.
or whatever. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's like,
and everybody was always trying to like because nowadays with social media and everything, everyone's just like, why did you attack Cody? Why did you do this? And it's like, if you ever see the movie The Strangers, it's just like, why are you doing this? It's like, because you were home. It's like, we're bad guys. That's what we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Not much more explanation?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the scariest thing sometimes, when there is no explanation.
Yeah. I don't want to.
Well, the Butcher, the Blade, I mean, it's kind of a very weird, odd gimmick.
Yeah.
And then you bring in the bunny for this. I'm thinking, okay, I'm trying to get some
Piece it
logic
all together. Yeah.
Like, it's pieced together, but I think at the end of the day, it actually feels cohesive a little bit. Like, you guys all kind of have the same vibe. You have the same, like, I'm not sure what's going on, but I know I should be scared.
The idea behind
I feel like
it
it's developed more as time
which
went on,
which it happens naturally in wrestling anyway, right?
Exactly.
It's
And that's like the idea behind it. Like when people ask, it's just like in the 90s, you would watch action movies. And when like the heel his local guys can't get it done, he always calls like a weird dude from another
calls
city.
him like a heater. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they always have weird attributes. So like people ask me like, what's the deal with the monocle? Why do you wear a monocle? It's like,
why not?
who
It's evil
cares?
looking.
Who gives a shit? Like why does he wear a mask? Who knows? Who cares? Why do you guys wear all white? I don't know. You know what I mean?
The white I'm a big fan of.
Thanks.
Very different, very crisp. The moment you guys came out in the white,
Yeah.
I like this.
There's like a lot of like Island of Dr. Moreau was like one inspiration. Like, we also like were butchers. We work at a butcher shop. They always wear all white. You know, there's but it's kind of like, like, I don't know, what does it mean to you? Like it could mean a lot of different
Anything.
things.
Sure.
You know what I mean? The fact that there's like just white is like plain. So like we're in plain clothes. We're plain dudes.
Yeah.
And then when we put our like gimmicks on, we're like the weird dudes that people call to like beat people
Hey,
up.
kill this dude.
Yes.
We did one little 45-second pre-tape that explained it a little bit with MJF, but the idea
with the
was
money and all that.
Yeah, like,
that led to the match.
we're butchers in a
with
butcher
EVP.
shop during the day, and then, we're kind of like hired assassins at night as
Right.
a butcher.
Cut
you know what I
meat
mean?
day, cut
Yes.
meat at night.
Yeah,
I like it.
Whereas
And
like that was like Laura, Allie the bunny takes the money and she handles everything.
Yeah.
Which in real life is kind of funny. He made this joke as we were trying. She kind of like you hear these stories about like Paul Ellering, I hope I'm saying that right, with like the Road Warriors.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
he took care of their rental cars and all this
He was
stuff.
really their manager.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
really, like, honestly, like, me and him just kind of show up to the airport and
Oh
just
my
follow
God.
Allie everywhere.
So Allie texted me yesterday and was just like, hey, what time do the boys need to be at the podcast? And I'm like, oh, okay, this is how this works.
That's why I
Great.
sent you a text. I said, "Dumbass, the podcast is on Thursday,
Right.
Wednesday.
No, Allie
We're
texted me
doing a
Tuesday,
TV
like, when is
show."
it tomorrow? And I'm like, we have Dynamite tomorrow? Like,
Tomorrow's Dynamite.
Tomorrow's Dynamite, and then on Thursday.
Yeah.
It's so, dude, I have a tour manager. So like when I tour, I have a dude that literally, there's a sheet on the wall that has all the information. So when I wake up in the morning, a guy hands me a sheet. Now we get it in phone, you know what I mean?
Right,
You get it in
right.
phone with Master Tour. And it tells you like what interviews you have, what do you have, that's it. I have a day planner that a dude sends me. Like when I'm on tour with the band.
Man, wrestling must just feel completely disorganized.
Well, now I have Laura. I know, she's gonna watch this and she's gonna be like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
But like, to
But
be
no,
honest,
Laura,
like,
it's great.
but she always has the information. She stresses about things I don't stress about. She'll be stressing about something, and I'll just be like this, and she'll look at me and be like, how are you not stressing out about this?
No,
And I'm
she's like, why are you not stressing out?
Yeah.
She's just speaking faster and higher pitch
Yeah.
the more stressed out she gets.
And I'm just like, well, what's that gonna do? Like, stressing out isn't gonna help that
Yeah, it's not gonna do
situation. So,
anything.
like, let's go. Like, we have the information, you know?
we're all set.
Boy, high maintenance talent, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Talk about how you two first met.
Me and him?
Yeah.
I was going to rewind because we actually haven't said the name of the band yet.
Yeah.
The name of his band is Every Time I Die.
Yes,
right.
please check them out.
I went to high school with the lead singer, other guitarist, and bassist.
Okay.
So literally everyone else.
Pretty much, yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
I always knew that like he liked wrestling.
Mhm.
Like I did a backyard wrestling promotion when I was a teenager. He did a backyard wrestling promotion as a teenager. We're all from the same hometown, Buffalo.
We're
New
all
York.
youngers. Yeah.
Yeah, so I always like kind of knew him through those guys, and then, like he said, like these later years, like 36 years old, when he started getting into wrestling, we just kind of
Yeah, it was just like kind of like a no-brainer too, and it
Yeah.
was like I always like in life in general, like the one motto that like I was taught was iron sharpens iron, like early on. So if you want to get better at something, you have to be with someone who is great at what they do.
just as
So like it's like, oh, okay, if I'm gonna be in wrestling, like I'm gonna go to him and I want to learn everything I can from him because he's been around and he's in Buffalo. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
easy
it's
for
just
you.
we have everything in common. So like outside of like wrestling, like we go see movies together.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's my best friend. You know what I mean? So like he's like the guy, like the first one, like me and my girl have people over, they're the first people we call. You know what I mean? Like that.
I love that when you've got the tag teams that actually have like the real life chemistry, because that's something that like absolutely comes through on television.
I think that's what it definitely portrays into television.
Right, like you see it with like FTR, you see it with Lucha Bros, you see it with the Young Bucks, like everyone that's like they just spend time together.
And then you can kind of tell the people that like just go off in different directions once they go through the curtain.
Right, I think that's part of the reason why the tag team division at AEW is so good, is just because like we brought in all these guys who were together before.
Yeah, it's all like real people.
So it's already there.
Yeah.
You had mentioned like doing the whole Butcher thing, wearing the whites and stuff. One of my favorite things recently was when you guys did the Falls Count Anywhere match, and it started in the back. You guys are like cutting meat, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this meat is being wasted. Which I mean, Laura was probably saying the same thing.
Yeah, that was.
There was a couple times where we wanted to like. I was like contacting like local butcher shops to try to do like I wanted to do like for AEW. I wanted to do one with like him and I like chopping a side of beef, like chopping like
wrestling.
Oh, like wrestling.
Like making it like putting fake blood on it. So every time we hit it, like the blood's like splattering.
Amazing.
And we're in our whites,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
When you hit the side.
And that's it. We're just chopping it, forming it, and like. The blood's like splattering in there, and I was like, Laura, it'd be cool if you were like staying there and the blood was just like spurting on it. And she was like,
no, so
nah.
Yeah. We can find like fake blood or something. You know?
By the way, Laura, like Allie's vegan.
Yeah.
So like it's
kind of a problem.
It's a weird like dichotomy with the three of us.
Butchers.
Yeah.
She hasn't eaten me in like 10 years.
Yeah. But that to go back to that 2 out of 3 falls match was a big deal for us.
But that's like what I was talking about with art before. Is like you have the opportunity to like create something that's artistic, and that was like to go back to that song theory, like it's got so many peaks and valleys, and like the outro was like beautiful, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like Stairway to Heaven without him getting super kicked and going on the stairway.
That was my favorite commercial ever. It's like super kick on the escalator, we're gonna be right back after this, and he was just like going up into the distance.
And it's so cool that
poetic
like, stuff like organically just came, like I mean, like I think like Nick Buck just thought of that. Like he was just like, oh yeah, we'll go to commercial.
Yo,
like,
straight up,
real quick,
and like no joke, like this is like, if we're allowed to say anything, like doing this, you honestly understand that Nick and Matt are the Michael Jordans of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because they can call a match in 15 minutes, go out there and do that stuff like it's nothing.
And it's a 5-star.
Yes.
Okay.
And it like I've seen it a few times in wrestling, like these bright flashes, but every single time I'm in something with them, it just everything clicks. And like as you're doing, like as we were just walking around, it was just like, hey, what do you guys think of this? And then they're like, oh my God, that's great. And then they like elaborate, and they're listening to what you're saying and elaborating on your idea, not just taking the line. You know what I mean? Like it was just like so. I don't know. Like they're the Michael Jordan, I think, right now of professional wrestling.
They're very obviously something special.
It's insane, and like just like I said, the stories that they can pull off. I mean, the first time we'd wrestled them was just a straight tag. Like it was just
like our 3rd or 4th match, maybe.
And that match was like, I think it was called in like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And we walked away from each other, got done. I remember like Nick came to the back and he was like, that was just a great wrestling match.
Yeah.
Like, if we had 20 minutes, that would have been like one of the best matches.
That was a lot of fun.
You know? And that was just a plain old wrestling match.
And let me ask you, how did your music fans react to you being a wrestler? Or do they just...
No, it's...
Is it good? Is it...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's weird. Like there's... It's definitely like, when you go into something like this physical, especially when you're my age, like, so I'm 42.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You don't look a day over 41.
Thanks, bud.
I want to age as gracefully as you have.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people were like, oh man, like he's gonna get hurt, he's gonna do this, he's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, and they're like worried about me physically, but then like they see me wrestle and then they're just like, oh, he's fine, he's gonna be fine. And like, as long as they understand why I'm doing it, and like, it's like a passion thing. It's something I've loved my entire life, and like, I think that if I was 65 years old looking back at my life and I didn't get in a wrestling ring, I probably would have kicked myself pretty hard, you know?
Sure. I get that.
Yeah.
Any injuries prevented you from playing the guitar?
Your shoulder. Did you have shoulder surgery?
Okay. Fortunately enough, I tore my rotator cuff and I did the Stone Cold podcast, like, what was it, like a week before my surgery.
Oh yeah.
And he would just had both of his shoulders done, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna be in a recliner for like months,
Really?
like months." And I was like, nah. And he was like, "Yeah, you are." And I was like, "Nah." And like, I remember like as I was saying bye, he said something again, and I was like, "You don't know me, man. You don't know me. I'll send you some videos." And he was like, "Okay." And like within like 2 weeks, I was like playing guitar. I was like hiking every day.
Hiking was a big
What?
It was
And
smart,
like,
though.
so I just like, I have this like, God, oh my God, I'm a really weird person. So this is
You don't say.
a really weird analogy.
We all of a sudden found that out.
Breaking news here at AEW Unrestricted.
I like, it's so funny when I hear people, like last night someone said the first time they met me, they thought I was Gallagher. I can't remember who it was.
The
but
watermelon
someone
guy?
last night, and they were like, you remind me of, I think it was Ricky Starks. Like, I thought you were the watermelon dude. And I was like, Gallagher? I was like, all right, cool. I'll take it, whatever.
Something
It's
great
like,
about the fact that Ricky Starks is the one that asked that.
yeah. I love him.
Of course.
But yeah, I have this like weird theory about like, in my head, my entire life had this weird thing about old blood. Like you have to keep moving, because if you don't keep moving, like your blood won't circulate. So like,
Gotta get that new blood.
you'll get old. Like you'll get older quicker if your blood isn't like. It's so weird. Anyway,
No, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. You need to stay active
Yes.
or you'll age quicker.
Movement.
and it was
Yeah.
just like,
Ronnie knows
Yeah.
this.
and I like in my brain, like I was like, I'm a pretty not depressed person. You know what I mean? I'm pretty upbeat, sunshine, just like you.
Yeah,
You know what I
thank you
mean?
very
Like
much.
I like colors. I like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, and I was like, I can't, if I know that if I sit down with this injury, I'm gonna get depressed. It's gonna drag me into a place I don't want to be into. So I was like, the minute I can like, I know that I can get up on my own and like move, I'm just gonna go hike, and I'm just gonna be out in the nature, get closer with the earth.
we
And
went with him too. We just had the sling on.
and I would do it every day,
Like,
and I would do a 4 mile hike every single day.
Wow.
Jesse, are there places to hike in Buffalo?
Dude, that was when he took us. We went
Yeah.
to it was the Gorge, right?
Yeah.
By Niagara Falls. 'Cause
Okay.
The border is like 20 minutes from
Sure.
us.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a place called. I was embarrassed that like I mean at the time I was probably like 38 years old, and we went there and I was like, this is less than a half hour from my house, and I'm embarrassed. I've never.
Yeah,
been here
it's
before.
beautiful.
Like there's parts that look like Colorado. It's just like holy shit, where
Yeah.
am I? Like it's amazing. Yeah.
Right.
And I would just go out there and I would just do this hike every day. It was like a 4 mile hike every day. And I like just got to it, and then I would send him videos of me like hiking, like calling him like, you know, like names, like
You're calling Stone Cold a liar
yeah,
in
it was
videos.
like, come on, man, come on, old man. Like, you know what I
the
mean?
new blood, Stone Cold.
Yeah, but and it was funny. And then I had a show, and every time I die, I show 1 month after surgery, and my goal was to just be able to make it.
It was like overseas, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was like Australia.
It was in UK.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got there, and I remember like I had to keep my arm like this. So like when I was playing, I had to keep my arm like as close as possible.
Close to your body as possible, right.
So like just to be safe, like the doctor told me I could take my arm out of the sling, but just to be safe, like over there, like not saying fans are like intrusive. I'm very open to fans, so like I'll go to the merch table and hang out with people.
Right.
And I just didn't want people to grab me, so I would have it on just to kind of like so people could see that there was something there.
Yeah, hey, don't rough me up.
Yeah, like don't come up and like, you know, jostle me and stuff. So I would
fans
always
over there
go
grabbing?
around for all the time, yeah. And like
well, the other
once
thing
I-
is because like you're a big guy, so people were like, "Hey Andy, pick me up."
Once I started wrestling, it was just like, yo, can you body slam me? Like, I was like, no, dude,
Jesus.
I don't want to do that. Like, can you pick me up? No, I don't want to. And like, every once in a while, I'll get like really nice, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, dude, pick me up. You know what I mean? And like, I was on tour last summer, and this dude was huge, this monster dude, and like I got up on his shoulders like fireman carry style, and he went straight to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
I bumped on concrete in the middle of like this tour, and I was like, all right, that's it. I just I was like, get away from me, and I just like walked away. I was like, no one's picking me up ever again.
I gotta. Can I tell a kayfabe story here for a second?
Yes, please.
We need to hear.
So his band, obviously not this year with everything going on, but his band, they've always done a Christmas show in Buffalo, New York in December. Like they'll do a tour, and then a tour always ends in Buffalo before the holidays. But now, the past couple of years they've done it, it's huge. Like,
Sure.
First year was a big venue called Riverworks. How many people was
Yeah,
it?
3,500.
3,500 sells out in like
Yeah.
very quick. This past year they did 2 days. Both of those sold out, and we do a wrestling show like,
Yeah.
during the day.
Okay.
So the last show we had but we worked best friends. Orange Cassidy was on the show, so at the end of their set, everything turned out okay. So
Orange
it's okay to
drinking.
tell now. Okay. So at the end of the set, like I think Orange and some people were like offside stage, like watching him. He just picked Orange Cassidy up on his shoulders.
Let me just give like a little side story. So like, Jim has never been to anything like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like for him, like he was like, oh, I'm gonna come the first day. I think Chuck's been a fan of the band for a while, and so he was like, just come the day before so you can see the whole thing. And like it's like we do it ourselves. So like it's not like we hire like a bunch of people to come in. Like we're there setting things up like the day of. Like I'm setting the ring up. You know what I mean? Like we're doing everything. Like the band is like doing everything. So like Jim kind of like comes and he sees it and there's people, but he doesn't know anything about my band. Mm-hmm. So then like it's our thing. So like when we started playing, like we have like an intro with like this crazy like Bills fan that was like
from the 90s.
Yeah. Mark Miller, who like he was the guy. What was his like big saying?
There's a famous YouTube video of him screaming how the Bills are going to beat Dallas, and it's just from the local news. And it's just like crazy Bills fan. And, I mean, he's screaming like a man, like beat red, like we're gonna beat Dallas. And they got him to intro. I mean, this is from like 12 years ago, and they got him to intro the band. It was. It's
22 years ago.
Yeah,
that's when it was.
The guys.
Wow.
Yeah, and like the place went insane, and then like the crowd was singing lyrics the entire time. And Jim was like, dude, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So then the next day he comes, he wrestles that day and then parties all night with thing. He's wasted. By the time we're playing, he thinks like we're the Beatles at that point because he's seen it 2 days in a row. And so the show gets done. Here, now you can go.
Yeah. And just to say, like,
he was so happy.
It's turned into like that show was turned into like for Buffalo because people come from all over the world. Like people come from Australia.
They gave us the key of the city, and we have our own day in Buffalo.
Every time I die.
December 15th is Every Time I Die Day in Buffalo.
I mean, the fact that their band brings people from all over the world to Buffalo, New York for this weekend. You know what I mean? And especially again in December when it's snowing. And,
no one's traveling.
Yeah, it's, you know what I mean? Because tattoo shops like run specials and they have people coming in from
like people UK are still coming. We're not doing it this year, but there's like people all over the world that are just doing it because it's now become like their like vacation.
Wow.
And we've been doing it now for like it's been 14 years.
Yeah, but the big ones
have been the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then so the show's about to end. Like Andy goes over and picks like I was watching
just
from
got
far.
signed.
Right.
No, we were still per appearance.
Either way, we were working.
You're on TV.
Yes.
Yeah. So he picks Orange up on his shoulder.
No. Hold on. I can't take all of the brunt on this one because I go over to him. He gives me a hug and he goes, "Pick me up on your shoulders and throw me in the crowd."
Oh.
I looked at the gap and I was like, I don't know if I can clear this. It's far. Like between the stage.
So spoiler alert, he didn't make it. So Andy, I'm watching from afar.
So scared.
I see like Andy throws him, and I just see Andy go like this, like, oh no!
There's multiple videos of me throwing
like
him.
Orange like hit the guardrail and like bounced into like the security guard.
Dude, he perfectly back bumped like this, like he back bumped perfectly sideways on the edge of the fucking. The guardrail.
Oh my God.
And I literally was like, I just killed AEW's
like one of their top stars.
Because we were like traveling at the time, so we had a house so you could see the reaction that he was getting.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my, I was so scared.
You're never getting signed.
And I remember I picked him up like a baby.
I was worried that there was going to be like cell phone videos and it was going to be like a thing.
Right.
And I was like, oh no.
And I remember like reaching down in the pit, putting him under his armpits and like picking him up like a baby and being like, oh my God, are you okay? And he's like, I'm drunk. It's okay, dude. He goes, hey man, I'm the Chikara guy that people throw into walls, dude. It's fine. And then was walking it. I mean, for like days, I was texting him like, are you sure you're okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And he was like, I'm fine, dude. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I didn't even feel it. I couldn't believe it. I was so scared.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was
insane.
awesome.
We're talking with Butcher and Blade, and we have questions from the fans coming up.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah.
This is AEW Unrestricted. Apparently, I'm the bitch of podcasting.
Who would call you that?
Tony Schiavone would.
Okay.
Voice of everyone's childhood. No big deal. We're here with Butcher and the Blade. Amazing stories so far, guys. I love I mean, I love working with you guys, and then I love hearing about all this crazy shit that you do just outside of the ring and whatnot. It's so fucking great. We've got a lot of questions from fans. Thanks for everyone who uses our hashtag on Twitter and whatnot. So let's see, what do we got here? I like this one from Chase, K Bratwurst on Twitter. When are we going to get new music from Every Day I Die?
I'll tell you right now, the Every Time I Die brand new record was supposed to come out September 11th.
Oh boy.
So this week has been very depressing. Because like we've been sitting on a new record. There's songs on this record that are 2 years old.
Really?
And like we recorded them, and like there was a song we were playing live for like the last like year, and like now you're so high. I mean, we recorded the best record we've ever wrote, and then you're just like, oh well, it's just sitting in the can. We're gonna wait until 2021.
You're just not releasing it?
No, wait, we are holding off. We never announced a date though, so like anything that we had this year, like we fortunately never was announced. Mm-hmm. So like we could shelve it until 2021. So yeah, you gotta wait until 2021. But we're gonna release a single soon. I actually have an Every Time I Die meeting at 4:00 today.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
Actually, I forgot. I think that was when we were still per appearance too. That was another one. Was they recorded in Buffalo, and it was. I mean, I don't know if you don't know much about music, how much work goes into making an album. Like, I mean, he would literally come. Luckily, the studio was near the airport.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he would literally. I mean, we would fly home. I would be exhausted. Like, oh, I can't wait to go home to sleep. Like, he would go right to the studio and be there all day. And
I remember hearing about that.
And then when we fly out, he would come right from the studio, and then we go to work. Like, it was a lot, man.
Yeah. But absolutely. Like again, you just I don't know. It's just grinding.
It's a lot like indie wrestling, right?
Yeah.
You just got to do what you got to do.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
I was going to say this before. Like, I always look at it. We were kind of talking about this before, but you know, like pro wrestling, music, comedy, acting, like all these are. It's all very similar. Like, you know, all the comeuppance and stuff. You know.
Okay, this comes from Scurvy Dog 619.
All right.
Oh, he's a Twitter brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that Drewski? Yeah.
Yes, that's Drew. Drew wants to know how much wrestling talent is there in the Buffalo, New York area.
Oh,
a great question. That's actually. So we have some trainees. We call them the Buffalo Brothers. Mm-hmm. They're actually going to be extras on Wednesday and Thursday. This coming week. Yeah.
Nice.
There's who is it? You got Puff. There's Kevin Blackwood. He's covered in tattoos.
He's got a black arm. Everybody knows him with a black arm.
Tooth on his face. Daniel Garcia, the remix Kevin Bennett. Anthony Nicometti is another talented kid from Buffalo. Yeah, that's
Brandon Thurston.
Yeah, I don't like to take credit for training these guys from scratch, because there's finally a school in Buffalo, New York, Grapplers Anonymous. Mikey Evernight, Brandon Thurston usually start most of the students. And I just kind of, those kids I named, like I kind of helped them advance once they started traveling and doing shows and stuff like that. But it's cool for me, like especially when he came along, because my first wrestling match was in 1999. I was in Cincinnati, Ohio to train, and then I came home, and I've been wrestling out of Buffalo since like 2000. I want to say 6 or 7, but for a long time it was just me. I was the only person wrestling and traveling out of Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's, things really changed when like those when that school opened, then when like those like prospects came about, and then when he started doing it, like then there was a good couple of years there where like every weekend we would get a van, we'd all go out and travel for the weekend.
It was like, I miss it. Like I would like rent a 15-passenger van, and the entire thing would be full. And we would just go.
Because even like students would just jump in that weren't booked. Yeah, and that was a big game changer.
Come help with the ring.
It was awesome.
Yeah. So.
That's honestly like the thing I probably miss most from the Indies is just all piling into a van and going somewhere.
Yeah.
Even though like at the time you complained about it, because it's like, oh, we got to drive like 3 hours where?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I miss that.
Yeah. And then what was then that those kids ended up, they were on an overnight drive home from Montreal. We weren't on the show, it was just them. They hit black ice, they hit a guardrail, and was Danny broke his femur. Blackwood had like 2 broken ankles. It was really tragic, and he was in Japan on vacation, and him and Hana started a GoFundMe for them, and like Tony Khan donated, Jericho donated.
Oh, I remember hearing about this.
CM Punk donated. It was really nice. It was awesome. It was really cool.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
People don't realize, I know every city has its own wrestling, but And I didn't realize this until I started doing Gwinnett games, and we would play at Buffalo against the Bisons.
Yep.
There was one night they had Legend of the Ald, and they brought in the Nasty Boys. They brought in Bischoff. They brought in, and so it was kind of a celebration of wrestling in Buffalo.
The last show at the Art was a wrestling show.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, right. And Ilya DiPaolo's got a restaurant there. Like, you guys have been there?
Yeah, of course. It's like Buffalo staple.
Right. It celebrates wrestling too.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
it's all pictures on the wall.
Well, all pictures on the wall. So
my pictures on the wall.
Is it really?
Look at you.
Next time I go in there and say, I want to see the blade. I want to eat right on that table. Yeah, picture go.
Didn't they used to cater, right? When you guys came to Buffalo, didn't they bring you guys food?
Bring us food. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a cool scene. It really is for wrestling.
Yeah. Yep.
It really is a cool scene. Brandon, speaking of food, Brandon M submitted this question on our TNTdrama.com All Elite Wrestling / Unrestricted podcast, where we see us on video.
Oh, this is controversial.
This is. I don't know who's going to answer this, but does pineapple belong on pizza?
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna. The first time I had a Hawaiian pizza it was actually boring details. I took a year off. Graduated high school in '98.
Gonna give you this.
Took a year off to save money for wrestling school, and I was delivering pizzas at a place called Just Pizza. They had Hawaiian pizza.
That sounds like a New York pizza place.
Yeah, Hawaiian pizzas with like shrimp, pineapple, bacon, cherries. It was actually really good.
Yeah,
that sounds disgusting.
I love it.
Good.
I love pineapple pizza.
Crucial ingredient too is honey sesame crust. They do honey on crust with sesame seeds.
So I think it's more like you just have to have the whole package. You can't just have pineapple.
I have had just pineapple pizza though, and it's very good. Yeah.
See, I like it. I think pineapple does belong on pizza.
I do.
It's nice.
Absolutely.
There you go, Tony.
Yeah. Brent Smith, who also submitted on our YouTube channel, wants to know, Jess, you and your wife, Allie, are big horror movie fans. What's your favorite, and what's the scariest one you've ever seen?
I think scariest one I ever saw was I saw Candyman in the theater. I remember there was a scene when she's like looking in a mirror. Candyman has a big hook on his hand, and the hook smashes through the mirror. And my buddy had popcorn, and you went like, whoa! And his popcorn flew, like literally like a movie, like flew in the air.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, that's probably the scariest. And then my favorite, like, oh man, I might honestly have to go. Like if I'm gonna turn something on, just something random that I've seen before, I usually do Mandy. I think.
Yeah, Mandy.
Yeah, it's really good, man.
If anyone has not seen the movie Mandy, I made Robert watch it because
Robert's controlling our camera today,
and we like want to start cutting promos like that are kind of like filmed in that.
Just the way the movie's like shot and filmed, the colors they
like
use.
there's just like things moving in the background and stuff like that. And Robert's
I always give
pretty
people
pumped.
I give people a precursor, like it's a slow start, but when it picks up, it's awesome. Man.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I think The Descent might be the scariest movie to me.
Descent's awesome. That's such a sleep because around that time there was like a lot of bad horror movies coming out,
Right?
And the trailer didn't look like much, but it's a sleeper.
You get claustrophobic watching that movie.
It's like girls
there's
in a
like
cave,
weird.
there's, like,
beast
I hate
things.
horror movies.
They're terrifying.
I sleep with the lights on.
Yeah, she does.
I'm afraid of the dark.
I mean,
like I love the hotel sleep because I can keep all the lights on. Nobody judges me. It's fucking great. I'm like, I don't want to be scared.
No.
Like, why would anyone want to do that? Pineapple on pizza? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, what is
I like
going on
guys.
here?
What's going
What are
on?
we talking about?
So we talked about this a little bit. There's a question from Misanthropic Tempo on Twitter. So you guys have a number of like seemingly quick appearance changes. You've had Butcher and Blade with the monocle and the hat and the mask, and then you end up going to the white, and then going back and forth. Like, what is the thing that sort of inspires you to change from back and forth to something else, or going back, or just obviously you're pulling a lot of stuff from art.
Yeah.
But is there any sort of like cadence that you guys are?
I think it keeps it fresh and fun.
It keeps it fresh, and it's something weird because like I think the big statement, the reason why we wore the whites like in the Falls Count Anywhere, because it was a different kind of match.
Right.
So like anytime there's a different kind of match,
Like pay-per-view whites.
Yeah, we're gonna pull our whites out. You know what I mean? Like it's like I don't know, like
Especially
being invited to like a nice party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're at work. The black is the white, the work gear, and then the white is just like, oh, this is special. Yeah, it's a gala.
Yeah.
So,
would you say the white is your favorite so far? Or?
I like wearing the whites.
Yeah.
And plus that Falls Count Anywhere, we started in the kitchen, we were technically working. So
it works.
Yeah.
Sticks to the theme.
Yeah, I think it keeps it fresh and fun, like the more outfits we come up with.
yeah.
Boone wants to know, this is at the Brady Boone on Twitter. Who controls? I don't know. Who controls?
Wait, Battle Cat?
Who controls the radio, or who controls the music when you travel together? And who are some of your favorite bands?
We actually have very similar taste.
Yeah.
That's very convenient.
Which is like I would say like the last year though, I'm like super into like 70s jazz fusion music.
Yeah, he's been going kind of off the rails.
So like I'm one of those that like if I know I'm in that mood, I'll just put headphones on.
I didn't even know there was 70s jazz fusion music out there.
It's insane.
I bet it is.
It literally is like it's like alphabet soup for music. Like there's so much going on. Right now, I'm really into this one record by Gentle Giant. I can't tell you the record. The song Proclamation's on it. It's the first song on it. But yeah, that's insane. And then I've been really into like Pat Martino. He's a guitar player that just goes off the rails. And so it's just like, and Herbie Hancock right now. Herbie Hancock's like, might be the greatest musician of all time to me.
Really?
Yeah. But there's like a specific time period where he was like super into space.
70s makes sense.
Like he was super into
Everybody
sex
was into-
and space.
Everyone was into sex and space in the 70s.
Yeah, and it's just like he had a bunch of records that like he did in like from like 71 to like 74. I could talk about Herbie Hancock all day. But yeah, we usually will either put 80s like synth like music on, or it's like Pantera or something like that.
Yeah. One of my favorite when we were doing the overnight drives a lot in the van, we kind of got a formula down where he would do the first half of the drive, and then once like 3-4 in the morning, I would just go in the back and sleep, and then once 3-4 in the morning rolled around, we would switch. I would wake up and I would finish the drive. Basically, so I'm in the back sleeping, and he's driving. So usually it's like the driver usually picks the music. And you listen to, it was like a Circus Soleil soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
For like hours. Like, I kept waking up.
It's my favorite.
Like the rest of the band
it.
is like 21-year-olds. You tell her, I'm just like, what's
The
going
guy's
on?
running across the stage and it's lowering and it ends up in water. It's such a great
straight
show.
up, you guys need to go see If you ever have a
at
chance to go
Bellagio,
see.
it's so good. Like,
It's a great show,
water
but it's
one.
great to listen to.
Yeah.
The other one is this. I'm like super entertained by conspiracy. So like, I'm saying like I always use the word entertained. And I'm not into, but I think it's like reading comic books to me.
Yeah.
So like, anytime like someone starts talking about flat Earth, my like ears perk up. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, I want to hear everything. I want to know everything.
It's entertaining.
It's amazing.
It's like, how do you believe this?
And there's time. Then I got into like cold case files, like listening to like murder mystery and stuff. And he's literally sitting next to me, and like there would be times where he's like, "Dude, I can't anymore. I can't listen to another podcast about murder. Can you please put anything else on?"
Between like him and Laura, like I mean, first thing in the morning, he'll wake up and put on like a conspiracy theory podcast, and some guy, he's talking like this, and it's just like, this is too much. I just woke up.
Yeah.
And Laura will do the same thing. Like, she'll just turn on like murder, like people talking about murder. It's like, dude, I'm trying to like get some coffee and like get a good start to the day. Like,
hold off on the murder.
Or put headphones in or something. Like, it's
This morning, I have like a routine for like fly days, like, or when I'm here, like I'll usually wake up around like 8 o'clock and call Hannah. And she knows I'm gonna go right back to bed.
Right.
So like when I go back to bed, I'll find the craziest conspiracy podcast and like try to stay awake while listening to it. It's awesome. I listened to a Russian one this morning about this 10-man team that got lost in it's crazy. It's called I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's Theories of the Third Kind is the podcast.
Theories of the Third Kind.
Theories of the Third Kind.
Wow.
But there's like a weird, like a 10-man expedition in the 50s in Russia. A dude ended up with like radiation. Mm-hmm. They don't know why, like everyone died. Mm-hmm. There's no trace of why they died. There's no footprints. There's nothing. They just like all left their tent.
Vanished.
They left their tent and like scared. And then they were like scattered, and a dude had radiation. Mm-hmm. One guy had been hit by like the equivalent of what a car would do to a human being.
Wow.
Like this crazy stuff. So I listened to that this morning.
Okay. Wow.
It was nice, right? And then I came right here.
That gets your day going, doesn't it?
Yeah. Listen to a little Herbie Hancock.
One quick thing, and we'll get you with one more question.
Yeah,
One quick
sorry.
thing. Do you believe we actually landed on the moon in 1969.
Do I believe?
Yeah.
I think we did.
Okay.
I really do.
That's one of the big conspiracies.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't have a dog in the hunt when it comes to like conspiracies.
I don't think you have a dog in the hunt in Russia either.
No, not at all. But it's an interesting thing. This is my flat Earth thing. So please, if you guys are flat Earthers and you're listening to this, like I'm not picking on you guys at all. I don't care at all because like if the world if let's say the world is actually flat.
Okay.
Like, do we still have to work tomorrow? Does our cars drive the exact same way? Yes. Like nothing changes for us, and we're never going to go to space.
Right.
You know, like the equivalent of the people who've been in space, there is like this room. Like, you know what I mean? Like 5 people, or you know what I mean, have been in space. Like, who cares? Why are you complaining about if the world is flat or round?
Yeah, I think this podcast kind of got them off the road.
I'm sorry, Tony. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Tony, this is AEW
Take out the
Unrestricted.
Big L.
This is unrestricted. This is good stuff.
Can we ask you a question?
Yeah, you can ask
Can we
me.
please talk about Big Al and Tank Abbott?
And Tank Abbott?
Have you been talked about this on the podcast yet?
I haven't talked about it on the podcast, but I know we've talked about it before. Right. Worst match ever.
And you had your commentary.
I had your commentary.
I like-
Right.
Honestly, like some of that stuff later in that, and like later, I don't know how you.
Well, you had me watch it again, and
I
that was
know.
the first time I had seen it since it happened.
Yes.
When Tank Abbott pulls out a knife.
When he pulls out a knife and threatens to kill him.
Yeah.
Dude,
puts
you
a knife to his
laughed.
throat.
Yeah.
You literally laughed. I mean, it was like, oh my god! Like, I remember like Big L. I remember the entrance. Like Big L's coming out, and like. Dude, I'm a dork. Like I know wrestling. Like, since I was a kid, I wanted to know every single wrestler's background story, everything.
Right.
When Big Al came out, I was like, who is this guy? Like, and I remember like there wasn't like you couldn't go to like the internet at that time and search Big Al.
Right.
And like in wrestling, how many Big Al's were there?
Right.
Like there were a ton. You know what I mean? And then the match starts, and I'm just like, I don't. So like it's a cuts match. There's a jacket on a pole.
Yeah.
Dudes are going, and then okay, my favorite part of the match. Big Al, literally 2 foot with like biker boots on, stands on Tank Abbott's face
Right.
and takes his hands off the rope.
Yeah. And stuff.
Stands there,
like yells.
Tank Abbott just gets up and punches him as hard as he can in his face. That's the best part of the match. That's like,
I like the knife myself.
and then a knife gets pulled. Like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Go watch Tank Abbott versus Big Al.
This,
WWE pay-per-view.
oh my god,
Yeah.
this has been probably the most fascinating podcast I think we've ever recorded.
Yes, oh, man, this is fascinating.
Yo, next time you have us on, let us interview you guys.
Okay.
Let us do it.
Oh,
on the
my
podcast.
God. Oh man.
Special guest interviewers.
Oh, we'll just swap it around.
Jesse, Andy, thanks a lot. It's been
So
fun.
fun. So
So
fun.
privileged. Thank you guys.
So many podcasts and movies to watch.
Yes.
Cool.
But I'm not going to watch a conspiracy theory, listen to a podcast about that.
Yeah, you guys don't have to listen.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll just tell you guys.
Yeah,
the
tell us
power.
how that
Yeah.
tell us how that
Cliff
ends.
notes.
Stick with texting me 80s songs, Tony.
Yeah,
Please.
I text Jesse 80s songs all the time.
80s
because
hits, there we go.
I love 80s hits.
Hey, as you should.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in, listening to AEW Unrestricted Podcast. If you're not already, please subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave us a rating and review while you're there. We absolutely love hearing all the feedback we get from people. It's fantastic.
And don't forget our video version is at tntdrama.com/all-elite-wrestling/unrestricted podcast.
Yeah, there you go.
Submit a question for your favorite AEW talent while you're there. We'll ask you about it and try to ask it when we have a future episode of AEW Unrestricted. So
And of course,
remember
to watch Dynamite.
That's right, Dynamite every Wednesday.
You were about to not talk about the thing that makes us all money.
Well, yeah, how about that? Okay.
Dynamite every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central on TNT.
My name is Tony Schiavone.
My name is Aubrey Edwards.
Thanks for listening and watching Unrestricted.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.